Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something fundamental, not just rocks and dirt, but the actual materials that build our world.
That's right. We're talking about the global mining industry.
Exactly. The foundation for, well, everything. The steel in your car, the components in our power grids, you name it.
It's the bedrock of the modern economy, really.
And things are changing profoundly. So for this exploration, we've got a really timely source. It's the Skillings Mining Preview Analysis, dated just August 25th, 2025. Super fresh.
Yeah, hot off the press, practically. It gives a real snapshot of what's happening now.
Our mission today is to unpack the biggest forces shaking things up: global supply, risk, strategy, and crucially, what it all means for you. Even if it feels distant, it connects back.
Oh, absolutely. The insights are quite revealing. We're going to explore how, government decisions are almost as powerful as finding the minerals themselves now.
Really? As powerful as geology?
Yeah. And we'll look at why companies are paying more, sometimes a lot more, for raw materials, and what whole industries are basically being forced to do just to keep things stable. It's a complex web.
Okay, let's dive into that first point. The Skillings report makes this really bold claim. State decisions are becoming as influential as the actual geology in determining global supply. That sounds huge.
It is. It's a fundamental shift.
How does that actually play out? Can you give us some examples from the analysis? Made it tangible.
Sure. What's fascinating is how clear the examples are. So take Indonesia. The report flags their 2020 nickel or export ban. They wanted to boost processing at home, right?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
But the impact wasn't small. Skillings notes it caused a nearly 15% price jump in global nickel markets, almost overnight.
Wow.
Yeah. And that directly forced big stainless steel makers everywhere to completely rethink where they get their nickel. And then you've got China. This year, they tightened export quotas on gallium and germanium. These aren't, minor things. They're crucial for semiconductors, EV batteries.
Vital stuff.
Absolutely vital. And that move, as Skillings points out, sent immediate shockwave. You saw tech and auto industries scrambling, trying to find other sources, pushing harder to bring production closer to home.
So it's not just market fluctuations, it's direct government action rewriting the rules.
Exactly. If you connect the dots, these national policies can totally reroute global trade, change market dynamics, sometimes more than just where the minerals happen to be.
Right.
It shifts the leverage,
Yeah.
From geology more towards geopolitics. It's a strategic game changer, really.
That's a massive shift.
Mm-hmm.
So how do these decisions, maybe a ban in Indonesia or a quota in China, how do they eventually filter down? How do they affect end users like us, or the price of a smartphone, or maybe a big wind farm project?
It's pretty direct, actually. Policy can create artificial scarcity or sometimes abundance, no matter how much stuff is actually in the ground. So a restriction tightens, drives up prices globally. Deregulation could increase supply, maybe lower price. But what the Skillings report really stresses is the sheer speed and scale of these impacts now.
Faster than before.
Much faster, much bigger ripples. It makes it incredibly tough, even for the big player, to predict price. And those unpredictable costs, they get baked into the price manufacturer.
Which eventually gets passed on to us.
Often, yes, to you, the consumer. And it also massively influences where companies decide to invest for the long term, which affects supply stability years down the road.
So policy is a huge driver now.
Yeah.
What about the cost of doing business in this new reality? The Skillings report mentions something called rising risk premiums. What's that about? Why are companies paying more?
Right. So these aren't just vague worries. The analysis shows they translate into real money. Think of it like insurance. If you're in a risky area, your premiums go up. For mining companies, these risk premiums mean things like literally higher insurance costs for projects in politically shaky regions, or spending more on security, even, longer, more expensive legal hoops to jump through because local rules keep changing.
So it's the uncertainty that costs money.
Precisely. The report points to two main drivers: geopolitical risk and regulatory. It gives examples like African iron ore. Political uncertainty there can make planning super difficult, increase dangers on the ground. So more investment needed in security, backup plans.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at Australian coal. Politically stable, sure, but shifts in environmental rules or export policies can suddenly add huge costs or barriers that weren't there before.
It sounds like trying to hit a moving target.
Yeah. One executive in the report actually said it's like trying to plan a decade ahead when the rules are being rewritten every 6 months.
That really paints a picture. It sounds like a heavy weight on the industry, way beyond just digging stuff out of the ground. Does Skillings suggest companies are finding ways to manage this? Or are they just stuck passing the cost along?
That's a great point. And yeah, the report does touch on that. Some costs you just can't avoid, but companies are trying strategy.
Like what?
Well, the analysis mentions a trend towards vertical integration where possible, controlling more of the chain themselves to reduce outside risks.
Oh, okay. Take more in-house.
Right. Others are pouring money into data analytics, geopolitical intelligence, trying to get better at predicting shifts, instabilities, get ahead of the curve.
Smart. That sounds expensive.
It is very costly. And the report's pretty clear. For many operations, a big chunk of these risk premiums does end up in the price of the raw materials.
And then inevitably
in the finished products we all use. It really shows you how connected things are. Stability in one part of Africa can genuinely influence the price of a car in Europe.
Which leads us right to the next big point in the Skillings analysis. Given all this, the policy power plays, the rising risks, what does it mean for the industries that absolutely need these materials? What's their move?
This is where the analysis gets really emphatic. It calls it the diversification. Basically, it's non-negotiable.
An imperative. Strong word.
It is. End users in key sectors, energy, automotive, steel, are the big ones. They have to diversify their supply, period.
To spread the risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The report argues that relying too heavily on just one or two suppliers or one region is just becoming way too dangerous with all the policy shifts and risks we talked about.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Especially if that basket might suddenly get banned or taxed.
You got it. That's the lesson from recent global shocks.
And what happens if they don't diversify? What's the consequence?
The analysis is blunt. Escalating volatility. Meaning chaos, potentially. Prices swinging wildly, making planning impossible. Sudden shortages that just stop production lines cold. Massive disruptions. Yeah, imagine a car company suddenly can't get a specific rare earth for EV batteries. Months of delays. Or an entire wind farm project stalls because the right steel isn't available at a price that works. It hits stability, profit, even big national goals like clean energy trends.
That's a stark warning. Puts huge pressure on those companies to adapt and fast. So, okay, let's bring it home for our listeners. Why should you, listening right now, care if some car company diversifies its battery suppliers? How does that actually touch our daily lives?
Oh, it touches your wallet, the things you can buy, even how fast technology moves forward. If that car company doesn't manage the volatility, cars get more expensive.
Right.
Or maybe that EV model you wanted faces huge delays or just gets canceled. In energy, it could mean higher electricity bills.
Okay, I see.
Or, a slower rollout of solar panels or wind turbines because the minerals cost too much or just aren't available reliably. Maybe we even end up relying longer on older, dirtier energy.
So the stability of these big industries, it's not abstract economics.
Not at all. It's fundamental to daily life. And Skillings makes it clear. Diversification is basically their shield against this new, unpredictable era.
Okay, so wrapping the main points together.
Yeah.
We've got governments wielding huge influence over supply now, almost like geology itself. We have rising real costs from risk across the mining sector. And this urgent, you called it non-negotiable, need for the big user industries to diversify or face serious volatility.
Yes, exactly. And if you weave all those threads together, the analysis concludes the mining world is in an era of complex interdependence. That's the term they use.
Complex.
Yeah, complex, because one policy change somewhere can ripple everywhere instantly. Interdependent because nobody acts alone. Not governments, not miners, not manufacturers. Everyone's actions and reactions are tangled up.
A delicate balance.
A very delicate balance. And Skillings warns it's under constant pressure. They even note in the analysis something like the week ahead is expected to bring heightened market swings and policy debate.
So it's ongoing.
Right now. Absolutely. It underscores how dynamic this all is. It's not a situation that's just going to sort itself out. It needs constant watching, constant adjustment.
Definitely not static. It's this evolving landscape where the old rules seem to be changing fast, demanding real foresight. It makes you appreciate the crazy global dance behind just getting the metal for your phone or your car. Well, this has been super insightful, really unpacking this Skillings analysis. We've seen policy's new power, the rising price of risk, and why diversification is so critical.
Understanding these hidden currents, the politics, the regulations, the boardroom strategies, it's just essential. They shape our whole modern economy, often invisibly, but they're always top of mind for the people managing these global supply chains.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Considering everything we've discussed, how much are the everyday things you use, your phone, your car, your appliances, shaped less by the ground they came from, and more by a policy decision made halfway across the world? It kind of flips the script, doesn't it? Something to ponder. Until next time, keep digging deep.